Boom, babe. Fine, babe. Boom, babe. Fine, babe. And it gets your face like warmed up.
Super serious.
Where nothing fun or funny ever happens.
This is a super serious thing.
I don't even like dogs.
Super serious.
There we go.
Action! That was a slight delay. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Super Serious Dog Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. I'm Misha Bielitsky, and I'm joined with my co-host, Courtney Cuellar, and Allison Chambers is back. So welcome back.
Thanks, chickies.
I heard you had car troubles, Allison.
So many car troubles.
That's the worst.
Do you know? So just so everybody knows, Allison's car troubles basically revolve around, cars just like decide to be a piece of shit sometimes and just keep breaking, even though it's a new car. That's what's happening to her car.
Yeah.
It's really dumb. Do you know what you want to get instead?
Yeah, Toyota Highlander.
Ooh, Highlanders.
If I need
are
a
cool.
big bitchin' vehicle for all my animals. And Volkswagen can just take a big hike off a short dock.
What is
That's
a Highlander an SUV? I'm not
Yeah,
familiar.
it's pretty much like the biggest thing that Toyota makes.
Yeah, it's like the Expedition or
You don't want to be
trying to think of Cadillac.
You don't want to
one,
be
but-
like me and Misha and drive a minivan?
I refuse.
Oh my gosh, you could be a part of our caravan. We could all take a road trip and just follow each other. It'd be a fun little caravan.
That I'm down with.
I'm not going to lie. Sometimes when there's like a minivan on the highway, I'll like semi-caravan with them. I'll purposely switch lanes.
We're in this together.
Especially if it's the same color.
I check to see if it's you. Because I always think I'm just going to like see you out driving somewhere and be like, what up?
Yeah. Because I mean, it could happen. It's not like
It could
Austin's that
happen.
big of a city.
Yeah.
We're
But
out
there
and
are
about doing
also a
appointments.
lot of minivans that look like ours out there. So
Yeah, that's true.
it's never you.
It's not. So, Allison, for the show, you have something that's been on your mind for a while. You want to tell us what it is?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I really want to discuss tonight was, dog chat is pretty easy to talk about, but I love talking about the human side of things. And as much as I am a people person, I have found humans to be incredibly difficult to work with this year. So I wanted to pick both of your brains on your experiences with that.
Hell yeah. Well, I can tell you right now that sometimes people suck. That's
Agreed. Agreed.
Just kidding.
I can second that. That people do in fact suck sometimes. But what do you have any like specifics or what specifically are you dealing with without
so
like
I
naming
am
names?
I am proud to say that my clients are awesome, and I truly love working with them, and the people that I get are really into their dogs, and that's what makes my job easier. But this year I found that there's been much more of a disconnect with people and their animals. I feel like they're spacing out more on lessons, or they're kind of just pooping out earlier, or just don't have as much motivation as they typically do, whether they're stressed with work or the home environment or whatever it may be. So there's been a lot of clients that I did not enjoy working with this year, or ones that I just flat out stopped working with and returned whatever balance I owed to them just because it wasn't working out. And that's very unlike me. So I just don't, I think people have been, what's the word? Kablammed. I don't know. They're just not. They're not the same. And it's not so much like a personal thing to each individual or an individual case. It's just their minds are not nearly as motivated.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but we have been in a pandemic and we still are currently. No, just kidding.
Yeah. I mean,
I definitely think, oh, go ahead, Courtney.
Oh, I was just going to say the empathic side of me definitely senses that people are on edge this year. Some people are living on a 20-second news cycle and just like their brains are turning over information so quickly that they do get bored quickly and they do space out often.
That's a fantastic way of putting it.
And I think it's a problem with society in general. And it is something I've seen as well. And it's something I've asked myself, like, as a teacher, like, how the fuck do I reach these people? And it's, you know, it's something that I don't always have the answer for, and it's a case by case thing. But I think the tone of this year in general is just off. And I think everyone can agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because honestly, even if, like, let's say person A is emotionally exhausted, person B from a different household is just physically exhausted because maybe they have to run around more, do more with their kids, that kind of stuff. And then another person might be just very sleep deprived because, you know, they can't, they have to do a lot more. They have a lot more responsibility. They have to work. They have to take care of their kids. They have to be with their dog the whole time. But I think, honestly, people spending more time with their dogs and not sending them to daycare and doing the things that they were doing before, or not being able to have those outlets to go as many places as they used to go all the time and go camping and all these other things. Like, a lot of that stuff's possible now, but there is bigger barriers to entry. And when you have more decisions that have to be made, you're also going to get fatigued. So the decision between, you know, should I train my dog right now, sometimes doesn't even occur to them just because they're so fatigued from just making choices all day long. And it definitely sucks. I feel like I've been kind of lucky in that, like, I haven't really had a lot of that same experience. I haven't had a lot of clients that I hated this year. I've had a few that are just like the typical, like, unrealistic expectations, and they're spending a little bit more time with their dog. And so those unrealistic expectations tend to get a little bit more pronounced because people can't really see the big picture. They can't take a step back. All they see is what they see day in, day out, and they can't see the progress their dog is making as clearly. Whereas when you go home or you go to work and you come back home, you've had time away from your dog, so you can separate that a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I definitely agree. I think they're just exhausted and dealing with whatever they're dealing with. And it feels like they know that they have to do the training, or it's something that they should be doing, but it's just another thing on the list. And everything for that day is just another thing on the list for them.
Yeah. I have a client who reached out to me at a point of frustration with her dog. We had trained another dog of hers a couple years ago, and she had gotten a new one this year, not because of the pandemic, just because fate decided she was getting a dog. And she hadn't put the effort into training, and she knew that. But it was like a week before the election, and she had tried to take the dog for a walk, and it didn't go well, and she just, you know, I don't know if, like, anything happened with the dog where she lost her shit, but I know she said she came back from that walk and she went in the bedroom and cried and took a nap for 3 hours because she was just done. She was exhausted. She was just so fed up with everything. And she called me and she's like, "What do I do?" And I was like, "Well, you pay me some money and I take your dog for a week because it sounds like you need a break from your dog, honestly."
Is this Magnum?
No, it's Hawk.
Oh, okay.
So, and I took him off her hands for a week, and I think it really helped give her that space to, like, breathe for a second and get that clarity of, like, okay, I have this new dog in my house. I need to teach him stuff. I need to train him. And it's not going to be easy the whole time. And if I get frustrated, I'm not having any good effect on my dog. And she was able to slow herself down. And I actually just saw her today, and the dog's doing great. Much better on a lot of things. Still some things to clean up because it's a husky and he's still learning. And, but I was really proud of her for self-identifying. Like, she told me in that phone call, she's like, "I don't know if it's because of the election or what, but, like, there's just too much, and it's too much. It's too much on me." And I'm like, that's valid. Thank you for admitting that.
That's phenomenal that she was able to feel comfortable enough just to say that out loud.
Yeah, I'm super proud of her. If you're listening, I'm super proud of you. She knows. And she listens, so.
What about You're a wonderful resource, Courtney.
Thanks. I try to be.
What about on y'all's end, right? Like, especially on your end, Allison, since this is kind of your brainchild, right? You know, do you feel like you've also had a lower tolerance or threshold for certain things, certain stressors, certain just normal issues that come up from clients?
Not exactly, but 2020 has really taught me how to self-prioritize and how to take care of myself first. Because before the quarantine started and pandemic, I would just take on whatever because I could, and it was money. And I've come to the realization that that is not what's best for me at all.
Not sustainable.
Yeah, so I really had to put limits, and I've had to find those limits and what works for me. And I had to tell a lot of people no, and that was very hard for me.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of the progress that I've made with that. But no, the only thing that I've had trouble with is now that I've got another dog, it's just another thing that I've got to put some more time into. But, that's the project I took on.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What's like, if anything, have you been doing to kind of help these clients have you found anything that's successful and helpful for them, especially if they're spacing out and, or not being committed or anything like that?
Play. Play. I feel like so many people have this expectation that training is just, you do this and the dog gets a treat and it's this formula, versus a lot of dog training is just relationship and play with your dog.
Yeah.
And I think that's like relieving for them to hear that that's normal.
Yeah.
Be a person with your dog, have fun with your dog. It's not like, I'm not going to come here and drill you and tell you what to do. I'm here to show you how to have more fun with your dog and how to build on that.
Yeah. I've been making a lot of my clients dance in lessons, not like necessarily like come, dance with me and do like a waltz or anything, but like when we're proofing things, because like sometimes people are just really stiff and awkward and like they're just like overthinking things, and I'm like, you need to laugh, and I know what's going to make you laugh. Feeling slightly embarrassed, let's do this. And that's been helping a lot. But you're absolutely right in terms of play. Like, people make training this like rigid robotic thing. And even if they're not necessarily like, monotone or anything like that, they still just have like this, I don't know, stiffness, right?
Awkward.
They're awkward and they don't leave room for experimentation. And it's like, no, you have to experiment. You have to fuck things up, and you have to go, oh, well, that didn't work. And then think about why it didn't work. But don't just go, oh, fuck, it didn't work. This isn't working. Like that's
because that accomplishes nothing and helps no one, like at all. If the only thing it does is it proves that little tiny voice in your head that questioned whether this was going to work. It proves that voice right, and that really doesn't do any good. And there's no need to prove that voice right. It's much more empowering to prove that voice wrong and be like, okay, that didn't work. Why? And how can I do it different? How can I do it better? And then you try to do it better, and then you get better, and you're like, hey, look at this thing I
figured it out.
Yeah. Be curious about the failures, because the failures are inevitable. There is never, ever going to be a time in dog training or freaking sewing or
anything in
learning
life.
a new language or anything. Yes. Like you have to fail. You have to trip over your words. You have to stitch something improperly. You have to just basically fuck it up and learn how to fix it. That's the biggest thing, is learn how to fix it or take it from the top and start over and go a little slower, be a little bit more mindful, right? But don't suck the fun out of the room, right? Like, learning should be fun. I don't like playing the same game all the time. I play video games and I get bored of the same freaking game. So even within your games, like if you always only play fetch with your dog, well, yeah, your dog's going to get bored of you too. Like, try mixing it up a little, throw in some obedience into it, or change the game to where like sometimes you also like kind of tug the ball in their mouth. I do that with B-Town all the time.
Or sometimes you make them wait and you throw the ball and then you send them to go find it and they have to engage their nose.
Mm-hmm.
Best thing ever.
I love that one. That's fun for me. I love anything related to nose work, though. Honestly, I just think it's so fascinating. It's like magic to watch a dog go out into an area and not know where something is and then fucking find it with their nose. Like, you go try to do that. Anybody listening, go try to find the exact location of something with your eyes closed and not touch it, like just with your nose. Like, you can't. Like, you fucking can't. And if you can,
let us know.
Prove it.
Sure,
you can be on the show if you can do that. You can be on
I
the
really
show.
appreciate that you gave like a genuine hearty like sniff, 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 Courtney. I really appreciate that.
I hang out with too many dogs. It's my problem. I don't hang out with enough people. I hang out with dogs, and I walk around and go with them. You know.
Oh my God. That's
It was
hilarious.
heartfelt. It was
Some
genuine.
people might think I'm kidding when I say
No.
that.
No.
She's not kidding. I have smelled posts that my dogs have sniffed. It's a really fun activity, actually. You would be surprised how many things have a lot more variance in their smell. You would think grass smells like grass. And, you know, wooden post smells like a wooden post. Like, no, sometimes it's got like a floral scent to it. Sometimes it smells gross because the dog peed there. But like even within the pee, there's variation. It's a fascinating world. And like, that's only a small fraction of it. Not that I go around sniffing dog pee all the time, just to clarify.
Hey, we don't kink shame here. We
That's
don't
true.
kink shame
That's
here.
true. Yeah, your cat
Whatever
likes
you
aggressive love. And he drools all over everything. And yeah, no.
And you sniff dog pee. It's okay.
Well, you know, it happens. It's like, it just comes with hazard of the job, right?
Yeah.
Comes
I
with
don't
the
have to-
territory.
At least I don't have to like walk into kennels where like dogs paint the walls with diarrhea anymore. That was
Ugh.
never fun.
I'm so happy to be past that phase of my life also.
Me too.
Allison, remind me, did you start off in a cleaning shit off walls phase of your dog endeavors?
No, but I will say that I had that experience last week, and it was so. The mess I came home to was so heartbreaking that I am almost 30 years old, and I called my mom and I was like, I don't even know how to approach this. Like I
have
see
been
it,
there. I have been there.
Mom, help!
Do I just burn the house down? Like, how do you can't clean this? This will
It
never.
was dried on like
Oh,
what is the opposite of the crown molding on the baseboard? It was like dried in the baseboard. It was. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. That's terrible. Especially once
Yeah.
it's caked on. Like hard ass.
Hashtag pork allergy.
Oh.
Oh,
Poor
no.
dog.
Did they not tell you about the pork allergy or like
Been feeding her pork for 6 years.
huh?
And apparently no more.
No more.
Like a hard no, real fast.
My first dog, Dixie, had a lot of GI issues. We never completely figured out what they were because every time they got better, they were only better until they were worse again through all these experiments. Anyway, I saw one of my posts about her, like in memory of her. And at the bottom of it, I put like, you also, like, it was like, oh, Dixie, you taught me all these things about life and how to just be yourself and like all that stuff. And at the bottom, I put like, you also taught me how to clean up all kinds of diarrhea really well. And I appreciate that because the things I would come home to with that dog, I mean, it was always like, how do I even approach this? Like, where do you start? Because it's on the dog, it's on everything around the dog, and like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and it's in there.
The worst part is when you have that dog whose paint like covered in his own doo-doo and it's everywhere and they're like whipping it around with their tail and they're a jumpy
so
dog.
happy to see you. Yeah.
But they also jump on you or maybe they're like aggressive and so you have to have like what do you prioritize? It's so difficult.
Yeah, it is.
And you know, I don't miss the days of that at all. I don't miss the days of having that many dogs boarding in one situation and it's pass.
I was telling you, I picked up some shifts at a kennel recently because nobody's traveling for the holidays. So I usually make a bulk of money for boarding over the holidays, and I didn't get that over Thanksgiving. So I picked up some shifts at a kennel that I used to work at. Long story. And I didn't handle any of the dogs. I just did like extra cleaning stuff and baths, but it was so loud in there. I was having like flashbacks of getting like pee covered dogs and shit covered dogs out of the kennels while it's loud and like they're all jumping and barking and it's not a good time. It's not a good time. Kennels in the holidays are not fun.
They're stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. So back to our original topic. Not
Oh,
that I
shit.
don't enjoy talking about poop and pee. 'Cause,
I forgot there was an
it
original
happens.
topic.
I'm still laughing at the fact that you taught your dog how to raise his leg by lifting his leg. I have not forgotten that story.
Dude, I've been thinking about, I have this Bernedoodle that's been doing day training with me. And like, there've been a couple of times where I've like lifted his leg for him because he'll piss all over his cute, fluffy ass front feet. And I'm like, no, I want to cuddle with you later. So I've been like holding it up. It hasn't quite clicked yet, but I think it will. I think it will soon. Cause like he's got huge balls. It's really weird. Like he's tiny, but his nuts are huge. I'm like, no wonder you're trying to hump every dog you see now. Like, Jesus Christ.
Little
But
Casanova.
right. But anyways, so yeah, back to people being grumps and difficult or distracted and whatever. Do you feel like you've seen more of this like archetype of person like earlier in the year, middle of the year? Has it been pretty consistent throughout the year?
I guess middle of the year.
That makes sense because people are getting fatigued.
Yeah, in the thick of it. Yeah, because recently it's gotten a lot better. And I'm like, shit, is that on me? Am I not screening my people well enough? But no, that's a good point. It's right in the middle of the year.
That was going to be one of my next questions was how do you screen your people? And, you know, are you able to screen out those people a little better? But if it sounds like if it was right in the middle of the year, I mean,
Tensions were high.
Shit was going on and everyone was stressed. And like I said, that fucking 22-second news cycle, or I'm just making that number up. But, you know, the scrolling and the refresh and all the things and the input of the brain and the of the sheer.
Did anybody have clients that rescheduled during the election?
I tried to have people not schedule or I had people who didn't want to schedule on election day. And I was like, we're not going to find out the real results for like at least a week or two, right? Because there's going to be mail-in ballots. And they're like, oh, that's true. But one of my clients, actually Bruce's mom, the Bernedoodle, that I was trying to lift his leg with the huge balls. She was like, right. The Great. Let's add that at the end. But his like first day was supposed to be on election day. And she was like, I was a mess last time the election rolled around. And I was like, well, let's just do it anyways. I think it'll distract you. It'll take your mind off of it. We should do it anyways. But no, I didn't have anybody do that. And I think because honestly in Austin, like I think a lot of people voted early. Like there was a ton of people on day one and week one in general. And so I think everything was pretty spread out. What about you, Courtney?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Allison?
Yeah, I had a whole bunch of people who were like, I want to watch it. I'm like, all right. Like, I agree. Like, I'll be watching it too. But yeah, and then it was just
I was going
to
teach you how to train your dog. But I mean, if you don't want to do that, I'll watch it too. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I was not interested on election day in tracking anything. I was like, wake me up when it's over. that was my MO. Cause like, honestly, there's no point in like stressing and worrying about it. Like I can't control it. I did my part. I voted. Just have to wait and see.
I mean, that's how I felt. It's just like, well, it's going to be
game.
there.
I felt like some people were treating it like a football game.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know we haven't had like a ton of sports this year, but like this is not a sport, guys. We're not like, oh, he's getting ahead. Like, no, it doesn't fucking matter. It's just fucking sit back, let them do their job. They'll get back to us with an answer. Calm the fuck down. But
I've missed you too. You guys are so great.
But nobody wants to hear "calm the fuck down" this year.
No,
we all
say
just
that.
no, and I'm not saying that to anyone. Just clarify everybody. Take a deep breath. I didn't tell you to calm the fuck down. I'm just saying it's an idea.
I definitely feel like now I feel like now I have a lot more flaky people. Like I got a ton of new clients rolling in last week, and all of them have just been flaky. Like one I was supposed to do a phone consult with on Monday, and then we pushed it back to today, and she didn't answer. And then other people have just been like, "Oh, I'm actually going out of town," and I'm like, "Well, why didn't you call me? Why do you call me and then immediately go out of town? That's stupid. Call me when you're back in town. Like, what are you doing? Put it on your to-do list. But other than that, yeah, I don't. Whoa.
Was that gunshots?
It was a marrow bone that slammed on the floor.
It totally sounded like gunshots, though. Had I not...
And welcome to Florida, folks.
Oh, God. If we were, like not in
she
the
didn't
city.
move at all. She was just like, whatever, it's regular. It's casual. That's Florida.
Okay.
Friendly fire.
Can we talk about, like, when people flinch for the funniest things in lessons? Because, holy shit. I feel like, you know, the three of us, we've had some pretty gnarly dogs. We've worked with some pretty gnarly... I mean, Allison, you do protection. So, like, you've seen some shit.
Mm-hmm.
But
I have.
the other day, I was in a lesson. And this guy, like, the sweetest, like, doodly little, like, it was like a small doodle, too. It wasn't one of those really tall ones. Comes bounding up to him, like, literally bounding, like, boop, 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 like a little lamb hopping through a field. And he goes, like, is that aggressive? I was like, no, not at all. And the funny thing is, like, we're working on, like, the dog looking aggressive and, like, barking at people and that kind of stuff. So it was clearly, like, this guy's not very experienced with dogs and whatever, but
I've had people like that where, like, the dog's playing tug or, like, just playing in general, and it, like, throws a play bow and goes, like, you know, or whatever. And the people are like, oh, is it growling at me? And I'm like, no.
It's having fun.
It's having a good time. It wants you to play with it. So play with it.
like, try doing that position and going,
do it back. Yeah, try that. Works for the people on the internet. Is there a tail? Is there an ass in your face? Is that what's happening?
Tail.
Oh, hello.
There she is.
Oh, hello.
Piper.
That's Ruka.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
She
beast.
She wanted a space next to mom. Proceed.
That's
Fair.
so nice.
Fair.
That's so nice. But yeah, people are funny, man. People are biases. Do weird
you don't
things.
you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. One
Right.
fact. Motto.
And I definitely do agree with our biases do weird stuff to us because, like, people mention a dog breed to me and, like, my brain automatically has this, like, oh, well, those dogs have this, this, and this common behavioral problem. But, like, not all dogs have behavioral problems. Mm-hmm. Only the ones that come to me.
Yep.
People don't bring me perfectly fine dogs. Like, they don't come to a trainer. They don't seek out help unless they need help. It's just, I mean, I wish we could change that.
Every once in a while, we get one of those gems where you're like, why are you hiring me? And they're like, I just want to not fuck it up and I want to be prepared and whatever.
I love
I'm like,
those people. I love you so much. Do you have friends? Can you tell your friends about this way of thinking? Because this is great. People don't think like this. It's great. Yeah, I wish that was a more common thing. But yeah, we develop biases because of that.
Okay, you know what we should do in 2021 when we're allowed to be normal again? Hopefully. Dude, we should do stuff where...
It's going to be New Year's and they're just going to be like, hey, click, it's over. We're done. 2021's here now. It's all good.
Pretend like 2020 never happened. It would be really fun to like I want to know what people are like in lessons in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, mentalities are different. There's just certain things, there's certain expectations, there's certain things people want to do with their dog that's different. Like here, nobody wants to say no to their dog and everybody wants their dog off leash, which like off leash, that's not like, we don't have a monopoly on that. But I'd just be curious to see like teaching styles. Like Houston, I can imagine would be very different. Like if I lived in Houston, was a trainer there, I would definitely have a bigger variety of like demographics and that kind of stuff. And you know, it'd be really fun is if we like, you came to visit us and you ran some of our lessons and I would go visit you and I'd run some of your lessons. I think that'd be
hell yeah,
fun.
I'm down.
That would be
so
fun.
Down.
That'd be fun.
And then we could record it or something if we're organized enough. Turn it into a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Trading spaces with dog trainers or something.
Oh my
Ooh.
God. We could come up with probably a like even punnier name than that, but that's an awesome start. Or jot it down.
Yeah, I didn't say that was the winning name. I just
no. It's a great start, though. I used to love that show on TLC.
Me too.
Love Trading
That's why I
Spaces.
came. That's why I came to mind. So I was like, oh, remember that awesome show where they like did trade it, and then like they fix stuff in each other's house, and then they like start back.
And like sometimes like the people would absolutely hate what the other
Yeah.
person did.
I love those. They're like, this all has to go. No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. And they're
Okay.
just mortified.
So I'm thinking carnival. I know she's afraid of clowns, but oh my God. I'm just kidding.
I would love it.
I would like hang out in here all the time. All right. Well, on that note, carnival and clowns and trading spaces. That's all we got for today's show. If you guys want to hear more, we're going to go in depth with some really fun topics on the Patreon episode. So check it out. If you're not sure if you want to subscribe, we actually released 2 episodes.
2 of them. 2.
One of them is
guys.
called Clowns Produce 100 Units of Stress. And
Speaking
the other
of
one,
clowns,
I know, right? What a perfect segue. Man, I could have capitalized on that. Oh, well. And then the other one is called The Problem Is We Are Primates. So you can just go to patreon.com/Super Serious Dog Podcast, and you can go either scroll down or I think there's a search function. I'm pretty sure you can just type in that name.
Mm-hmm.
So, or those names, I should say. If you want to get in contact with Allison, she's in Florida. With
Florida.
Complete Canine Training. She's got an online presence and stuff, so definitely check her stuff out. And if you really like what you see on our Patreon, you can also spend $5 a month. You get early access to new episodes, and you also get all the other cool ass Patreons that we've got. Episodes are longer too, so we tend to get like a lot more in depth. Not about dog butts and balls, I swear,
okay, sometimes it's about dog butts and balls, though.
but not always.
Sometimes it's about our feelings and we cry.
That's true. We actually cried like a couple episodes ago.
Yeah. Got really deep. Good stuff. Come check it out.
If you
Fun
want to
time.
see us cry, if you're into that sort of
If you're
thing.
into that.
Because we don't kink shame
Like I
here.
said, we don't kink shame here.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.